what if I just figured something out about myself on your show?
I love it.
You're such a good host.
I'm taking this in my therapy this week. Best known for her role as Regina George in the national tour of Mean Girls, please welcome to the Zoom, Nadina Hassan. Hello. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. This is so much fun.
Of course. I actually saw you in Mean Girls at the Pantages.
You did? You came to LA? Oh my
Yes.
God.
And you were amazing. So I'm so excited to be talking to you and just to learn more about your story.
That was like the most fun ever. I mean, the whole tour, there were so many cities that were amazing, but like playing the Pantages was so cool. You know, it's like such an epic place, and just being on Hollywood Boulevard, it's so cool.
The Pantages is my favorite theater ever. So I can't imagine. Was it just amazing?
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It's definitely like I'd say it's like a mid-sized theater in comparison to some of the other ones we played throughout the country. I can't remember if it's like 2,300 or something around there. But what I love about it is it's not too tall. So the balcony is like right in like the sweet spot of where you want to direct everything. So you're not having to play to like a million different levels of balcony. It's just like so iconic. It was so beautiful. Like, it's so pretty. It's so gorgeous.
Well, what blows my mind is that you said that it's like the not even the biggest theater that you guys perform in when you tour.
Not even close. I think it was one of the Fox theaters. We did, I think there are 3 or 4 Fox theaters around the country. There's one in Detroit, there's one in Atlanta, and then St. Louis. And forgive me if I'm missing one, but those are like known as some of the biggest theaters in the country. I believe the Detroit one is like seats wise the biggest, but I think the Atlanta one was like 5,000, close to 5,000.
It was stadium. It's like
is it
pop
massive.
star.
Oh, and we felt like pop stars too.
Yeah.
Same with St. Louis, honestly. Like they're just so loud there because I think it's like so vast and it's set up that way, but it's so vast that people can sort of feel like they can like partake
and
in
you're singing World Burn. Like you are a pop star.
Oh my God. Like I can't, it was so I literally, that was like the best part. It was so cool feeling like that all the time.
Let's just start from the very beginning. Where are you from?
I'm from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Born and raised Michigander, Midwest girl. I started doing singing lessons when I was like 10, and I was very, very bad. I was very bad in the beginning.
Really?
Yes.
What got you into singing lessons?
My sister, so I have 3 siblings. I'm one of 4, and my sister's older than me, and everything she did, honestly, still does, I want to do also. And so she was taking voice lessons. She had a beautiful.
Where are you? And are you the youngest?
I'm number 3, so my brother, me, and then my brother. And she did singing lessons, and she was like she did more like classical stuff. And so I started taking voice lessons just like her. And I was so bad when I started. I was like 10 though. And then I got into middle school, and I just didn't want to stop doing shows. Like I did a musical production of the Lorax.
Okay.
In 4th grade. And I honestly can't even, it was amazing. It was so good, but I like can't believe that that's a musical. It's so funny. And then I didn't want to stop doing them, and so I got into voice lessons. And then when I got into middle school, I think my family and I like realized I was like okay, I was pretty good in middle school, and so we like really focused in on doing shows at other places outside of school and getting more experience with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
What were you like as a kid? How would you describe yourself?
I'm like the creative of my family. My family's like does all other stuff like medicine or business or like tech and different things. So I'm like the creative of the bunch. I'm like such an extrovert, and I always have been, even as a kid. So I always just like wanted to be talking to people, and like I loved my friends at school, and I did sports when I was a kid. My family's a big sports family, like focusing on theater. I did soccer, basketball, baseball, tennis. Yeah.
When you were a kid, what kind of art were you exposed to? Like what were the TV shows that you watched? What was the music that you listened to?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Ann Arbor is a very arts heavy town. Like they do a lot of a good job of funding a lot of the arts. So there's just like a lot of that here. We have like an annual art fair. The whole city of Ann Arbor like shuts down, and artists come in and present their work for this. It's like one of the biggest in the country. It's so big. And when I was a kid, my grandparents took us to this theater in Lansing, Michigan, which is like an hour north of Ann Arbor. And we would see the touring companies of the Broadway shows there. So I saw that, and I would watch. I'm from two very different cultures. My dad's side is Egyptian and my mom's side is Colombian.
Wow.
So I'm so grateful to be exposed to also art from those sides as well. Yeah. I'm also a big like comedy buff. So even like ever since I was a kid, I always loved like watching comedic stuff. It's my favorite thing ever. It's just so fun. So like all kinds of things. I'm so lucky that like my parents fostered that in me and my siblings too.
Do you remember what you daydreamed about as a kid?
Being a star. I still do, honestly. Like when I was a kid, like for real, I would watch celebrity like interviews all the time, whether they were like on Ellen or like late night talk shows. Always watched those on YouTube. Yeah.
What about the idea of being a celebrity was so enticing to you, do you think?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think just like the glamour of it as a kid obviously is like so appealing. And then as I grew up, I was so lucky that I love like storytelling.
Yeah.
Sounds like cheesy, but yeah, like that's what we do.
Right.
We tell stories professionally, and stories that need to be told and get out there and in an efficient way that makes sense to people. And I always loved the stars who did that.
But your parents are not in the arts.
No, my parents are both doctors. They're not. They're like both medical field, so they're not at all.
Were they those supportive of your passion?
Yes, very supportive. But again, like not till middle school, and like it was clear that I was like wanted to do this and like could do this for real. But yeah, they were very, very, very supportive of me, and they always have been. Every step of the way, my mom and I would go to auditions together, and like we did our whole college audition circuit together. And yeah, they always like pushed me to do, try this song and do this whatever, so I'm very, very, very lucky.
That's amazing. So you get to middle school. What about that time? Was there a certain experience that made you start taking theater more seriously?
I got a leading role in another musical we don't talk about enough. It's a Wonderful Life, the like famous Christmas movie. Is a musical as well, and we did it in middle school, and it was amazing. And I played George Bailey's mother, who's like 60 years old, but she has a song, and I like first solo, and it was here, so it was so fun. And I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And then I was still taking voice lessons up until then, for sure. Once I got into freshman year of high school, I was doing this community theater, and we had like maybe 3 or 4 shows a year that I did. Like I was doing a lot of shows at a time, whether it was like 2 during the summer and like 2 or 3 during the year. And so that was awesome to just like get a bunch of reps of different kinds of musicals and different kinds of roles. So I was very lucky to play like a lot of favorites. In high school, this was I joined another high school group where I did shows starting my junior year. But before that, I played the Wicked Witch in Wizard of Oz. That was very fun. We had like a lot of cool tech stuff where I was like flying on a broom, and flying on the bicycle. Very cool. I played Belle in Beauty and the Beast, which I still want to do again professionally. I would love to play that role again. There were some other shows that I did in there. I'm trying to think. I played Grace and Annie, like the classic like community theater kind of shows. And then I did my junior year, I started doing shows at Pioneer Theater Guild, which is a different high school than I went to, but the Theater Guild allows anyone from the school district to do their shows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's very cool. And it's all really like, the shows were incredible. Like everyone knew that PTG was like amazing. They were all student run, and students would make the set, and students would help with the costumes, and there were definitely adult supervisors around, but they weren't really like part of the high school. It was part of this theater guild, but it was at high school. So it was kind of weird, but it's still like thriving today, and it's incredible. It's an amazing place. But I started doing shows there. My first show there was Guys and Dolls, which I again want to do that one freshly too. But I played Sarah Brown in that one, which was an amazing role. And then I did, 4 shows there until I graduated high school. That we just got to work with the Michigan musical theater students. So that was another big step for me of like, okay, this is like how it is. This is like the next step of what that is. Here it is in practice. Like here are these adults doing this thing and learning from professors, and this is how they look, so a lot of them became mentors of mine, and they still are to this day, which is really cool.
Well, I was going to say, was there a moment where it went from this is what I want to do as a career and I see how that's possible, or you just kind of always knew you would figure it out?
I kind of always knew, but which is delusional of me, because I didn't really know how to. It's great, but it's also like I didn't know how to do it. Like meeting these people was so kismet, and like having my parents help me with this was so necessary, because like they were such mentors for me. They showed me, okay, here's what you want to do for this. You want to go to this summer camp, and you'll want to work on this material because it'll help you in this audition. And so, I didn't really know before how to do it, but I knew I wanted to do it, if that makes sense.
So your whole childhood up until graduating from high school, besides theater, did you have any other interests or passions?
Yeah, we're very like family oriented. I mean, that was like my thing. That is like my thing for sure. My family, we're all very like family oriented, so we hang out a lot, and we travel a lot, which is really nice. So we traveled a lot when I was in school, and my siblings and I were in school, which we're very lucky to be able to do. And yeah, I'd say that's probably.
What would you consider to be the hardest part of your childhood?
Mm. Let me think.
No, that's a heavy one.
That's a heavy one. Yeah, I guess it's sort of my childhood, adolescent, when I was sort of a teenager. I guess I don't really talk about this much, but I should. I have a muscle disease that I was diagnosed with when I was in high school, actually, during all this time. And so, I was diagnosed at a pretty young age, and I had to sort of stop doing everything. I had to like drop out of shows because it's a pretty rare muscular disease where like your muscles become weaker than other people's. So I like had a lot of facial weakness, like to the point where I couldn't really like speak properly. And I had to be like hospitalized a couple times, and got incredible like treatments throughout up through college. So maybe like 6 or 7 years I had to like keep going back for treatments and stuff. It's quite manageable these days. But yeah, that was like a definitely an obstacle for sure in terms of like performing and whatnot. I mean, it's pretty rare disease, and rare for a young person to have. If people have it, they have it when they're much older.
That must have been so scary to not be able to perform in the way you wanted.
That was honestly the scariest part. Like I think I didn't really grapple like the severity of the disease at the time. But what I was fearful of was that I had to drop out of these shows, and which is like, that's what a young, when you're young, it's like, oh, this is what like looking back now on that whole experience at the time when I was so young. I look back and I'm just like so grateful that I like had my parents, and I had my siblings, and everything like worked out great. But yeah, it was definitely a weird time. I had to go to Texas for this one surgery, and I would like sit in the hospital for like 8 hours at a time, and they would have to like transfuse all my blood and whatnot.
What did you do when you were in the hospital for 8 hours at a time? Were you listening to music? Were you watching TV?
I think I would watch TV. Yeah, I would watch like my shows. I think that's honestly probably around the time when I really got into like my shows. I'm a big like Office girl. Love The Office. I've seen it like 100 times, but like it was comfortable. You know what I mean? Like you have those comfort shows that you go back to. You're like,
100%.
I know this is like a show that's gonna make me happy no matter what scenario I'm in. So yeah, like The Office, and yeah, now I have like 100 more. Veep is like the funniest thing that's ever been on TV ever. My my favorite show, which is like a show I really wish more people knew about. It's called Stath Lets Flats. It's a British comedy with this guy Jamie Dimitru, who is like the funniest guy ever, and it will never stop making me laugh no matter how many times I've seen it. There are like 3 seasons out now, but British comedy is so good. It's so good.
So when you were going through a difficult time and watching these shows that brought you comfort, was there any subconscious thought of, I want to be in a position to bring other people comfort through art?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's like what's what we want, is to like make people feel the way that's what I want to speak for others. So what I want is like to make people feel the way that I do when I watch shows or when I watch musicals that really affect me. It's like, oh, I want people to leave and feel either like so happy or so overjoyed or confronted with different emotions that they maybe weren't as comfortable with, and now they feel better about XYZ, and then they go put those things in practice in their life. Like, I think that is so powerful. Totally. Whether it's movies or musicals or TV, whatever it is, it's so cool. It's very powerful.
When you were theater obsessed in middle school and high school, did you ever think about TV film?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I always dreamt of it. I always wanted to. And I didn't know how. I was always just like, I want to be a big star. I'm gonna be a big star. You know what I mean? I always knew like someday, that would happen. And so I'm really lucky that I get to do that stuff now.
Yeah. Okay, so you graduate high school, and what were your thoughts towards college?
Yeah, I auditioned for like a million schools. I did like the Unified audition in Chicago, which is like when a bunch of colleges come to basically one hotel, and it's the Palmer House Hotel, Palmer House, in Chicago, and it has like a bunch of business rooms, and they set up shop there, and they audition like thousands of kids, thousands of high school kids. And so I did that for maybe like 10 schools, and they do it so they can do it all at once. Like they'll have you dance, and then a bunch of colleges will sit there and watch you do like one combo instead of having to go to each school. Like a great way to save money and be able to like do it, just knock it out in one weekend as opposed to 100 different weekends. And then I went to campuses for maybe 5 or 6 others. And the summer before college auditions, I had done 2 pre-college programs, one at Cincinnati Conservatory of Music, UC, and then one at Baldwin Wallace University. And they were very, very different. Since CCM's camp was a lot of people, we had curriculum that was for the camp, not necessarily super similar to how it is during school, but taught me so much. And like I have friends that I'm still friends with from that camp, which is so crazy. But like this world is so small, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you know this. Like it's so small. You just run into people you know all the time. I did want to go to Michigan for sure. It's very obviously so close to home. It was like it's like 10 minutes from my house.
Oh wow.
I was waitlisted on the program, and I am so grateful for that. The program is incredible, but I ended up going to Baldwin Wallace University, which is right at the camp, which is another incredible program. And I'm so grateful for my time at BW. I was able to star in so many shows. It was like 2.5 hours from my house, which is like just far enough away that you feel like you're like having your own life and like developing who you are as a person outside of where or the environment that you grew up in. And met like a whole new crop of people. I didn't have anyone from high school that I knew that was going there. Like I had to completely immerse myself in an entirely new environment and experience. And I'm so grateful for that. And now like I've come to know the most incredible people. The people in my class were just the coolest, most amazing and talented people ever. And we're all like still so close. My friends and I have a group chat to this day that's like so strong. Some of my best friends forever. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for all the experiences that BW gave me. Yeah.
Did you always know you wanted to go to college?
Yes, always.
Was that something that was important to your family as well?
Yeah, it was just something that like part of what you did really. And I needed that training too. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know really what to do in this business before college.
Totally.
Like I said, like we were learning on the fly. We were learning because I had these incredible mentors from Michigan, and then it was college that I learned literally like everything that I know is from my experiences in college. So it's, there are things that you like have to learn to be a professional actor. And some people don't need that at all. So you do not have to go to, this isn't by no means, you do not have to go to college. I just needed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you could talk to Nadina, who's just about to start her freshman year, what would you tell her?
That's a good question. Um, our program head was very good about like keeping us all individual, but like you still, I don't know, you still inevitably, when you're in such a small space, you still inevitably like compare yourself
Yeah.
subconsciously to other people. And I would just tell her like that is the biggest waste of time ever. Don't ever compare yourself to anyone, because like even experience, looks, whatever, like voice, talent, whatever it is, like don't ever compare yourself, because it's does you literally no good.
I don't say struggle with that, but do you still compare yourself now, you feel?
I try to be pretty good about not doing that, because it
Great.
is like it's a huge waste of time and helpful to no one. I think
Yeah.
it is, I mean, everyone does it to a certain degree, like a small amount, but then like trying to not let that infuse in your brain, because then it also, you can be like more like supportive of other people, if that makes sense. Like
Totally.
it's nicer for yourself, it's also nicer for everyone else, you know what I mean? Like you just exude only support, it's like for your castmates, for whoever, all the time, and that is just like a better environment to be in. My program head was incredible. I mean, she's a great at teaching both the skills and the talent, and try to bringing that out of you, and then also the business aspect and the like street smarts of the industry,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense. You know what I
Totally.
mean? Which is half of it. I mean, it's half of it. It's like so important to know all that stuff.
Or what was the hardest part of your college experience?
Like gaining the time management skills, but also my program was I have a Bachelor of Music. And so you get that Bachelor of Music essentially in the first 2 years of college,
Wow.
and you're getting BFA, for lack of a better term, the whole of the rest of the time. So like freshman, senior year, you're getting your typical BFA, and then you also have this Bachelor of Music that you just truncate into 4 semesters, the first 4 semesters, which is like unfamiliar territory to most people who aren't studying like straight music, which is what the rest of the Conservatory of Music was studying. Whereas we also had acting classes and dancing classes and whatever. So yeah, I think like learning how to navigate the like time management of that, plus all of the other stuff, I'd say that was like, I think universally, like if you asked anyone from
Totally.
PETA, they'd be like, that was definitely the hardest part.
Were you auditioning for projects outside of school during college?
No, that's not true. Yes, it was. I was in for the Aladdin movie my freshman year. And then in the summers, sometimes we would go audition for some of the summer stocks, like the Muni, and then PCLO. And then some of the other summer stocks would come, summer stock theaters would come to our school and
Wow.
audition for the following summer. So yes, I guess technically yes, but they were not
Ever do
conflicting
any
with.
summer stock?
Yes, I worked at the New London Barn Playhouse after my freshman year of college.
What show?
So we did 4 shows. I was hired, so you get hired basically for one role, and then you are like slotted in for the rest of the season. So it's a company. It was about 15 to 7, maybe 15 or 17 of us. No, that feels too many. Maybe 15. There were like 15 of us.
Mhm.
And we were like the acting company of the summer. I was hired to do Maria and West Side Story.
Wow.
And then we also did Secret Garden, All Shook Up, and Godspell. So we
That's a
did
great
those 4.
lineup.
It was a really good lineup for a
Yeah.
season. So you get like hired to do one, and then you audition for the other 3 when you get there. Yeah. So that was really fun.
So you got representation at your senior showcase?
Yeah, so we actually didn't get to do our senior showcase like normal, which was such a bummer at the
Did
time.
you
But like,
graduate in 2020?
yes, I was
So I
technically
graduated high school in 2020.
You
So,
did?
you know,
Yeah.
hybrid graduation.
Like the last graduation.
Yeah, totally.
Like the graduation. Yeah, I still haven't been back to my campus yet since we like left after spring break. We were on spring break when we found out we were going back. We all put our masks on, got on planes, and went back to campus, packed up our houses, and left.
Oh,
I want to go back to that, leave my friends, and I keep talking about it, but yeah, so I graduated in COVID, and my program is so great that like they really foster the, like I said, like the street smarts aspect of it. But like you really are looking forward to the showcase, because
totally.
we are like the school is like has one of the biggest showcases in the city.
Oh,
and they invite so many people and so many great people that we have also connected with throughout college, because we would do this masterclass series where we'd have like 10 or so industry professionals, whether it was agents or casting directors, come to our school and we'd get to perform for them. So that happened like 10 times a year. And so we already developed like all these relationships with people, and then we would invite them also, and then additional people as well who we had not had the pleasure of meeting yet to the showcase. And we'd been rehearsing it for like the whole semester. But obviously we all had to go home, do our online school. But I'm so grateful again for my program head. She jumped into action, and we did like an online showcase reel, basically, where we like put highlights from everything we'd ever done before during college. So like whether that was like tapes from shows we did at school, or like our senior showcase or junior showcase, like things that really highlighted us, and fit them into like a 2 or 3 minute clip for each of us. And they put it together in this long package basically that you had access to.
Oh, great.
And they sent it out to all the people that were invited to the showcase. So it was different material that we were doing, but ultimately it worked out so well in like everyone's favor. So yeah, and so I took a bunch of agent meetings from my parents' basement from their office. I took like a ton of meetings down there, and I ended up signing with my agents now, and they're incredible. I love them. I have the most amazing group behind me, and I'm so grateful for them. But yeah, it's like all crazy how that happened, and graduated. Yeah, like in my kitchen with my family, and I took pictures like in our driveway.
Oh,
in my cabin town.
Yeah, my graduation was like a drive-through, get your diploma, whatever. It was fine.
Wait,
yeah, wave to literally nobody. You should go back to school.
It's so unique. It's like, so we had, you know, you make the best of these situations. It was so unique that we had that.
So COVID hits. Now you're back home. I mean, you're in your senior year of studying, you know, musical theater, and I'm sure all you wanted to do is go to New York, right? And go start.
Yeah, so I had a sublet signed up to start right after graduation, and obviously everyone was so, you know, kind to each other during this time. But they were like, "Oh, don't worry about it, it's fine." And yeah, everyone in my class moved to their parents' house basically. I lived with my parents for like a year and a half. And all my siblings, everyone like moved home quickly, which was great. So we had like a full house, for like a year and a half, which was awesome.
So we had happy about that.
Oh my god, it was so fun, like just being all together again for so long, because we hadn't, everyone goes to college and you have older siblings, and we hadn't done that for a while.
What do your siblings do?
My older brother is he's in like medical robotics.
Oh, cool.
My sister is in business in the finance world. And then me, I'm the black sheep. And then my little brother is he's gonna be in med school next year.
Wow, so everyone's like really far from musical theater.
Yeah, so I'm always like, guys, I'm gonna be singing upstairs. I hope you're not on any important meetings, because I'll be singing.
So when they come to see you perform, I mean, they've been seeing you their whole lives, but is everyone so supportive?
So supportive. Oh my god, my family saw Mean Girls like a million times. They were so supportive, and they like took a lot of like my castmates under too, and like wanted to be supportive for them as well. And like it'd be like, we're not just here to see you, we're here to see like everyone else too, you know. They're so sweet. And my siblings are just so proud, because they've seen me do shows from like when I was 10 till now. It's like crazy, you know what I mean? So I'm very, very lucky.
That's so cool. What was your pandemic experience? What filled your time, and where was your head at?
I was so career-wise, like professionally lucky during that time, just because I was self-taping a lot. I was taping for
Wow.
projects that were not happening yet, future projects that were coming about, and then things that were starting to film under like the COVID bubbles that started popping up. So you would just like go and be insular and test
Yeah.
often and not see anybody else. So those did exist during that time. Theater didn't come back for about a year, a little over a year. Theater auditions didn't come back for a little over a year. But I was doing, yeah, voice lessons virtually. I was taking acting classes with my studio out in Los Angeles over Zoom. Yeah, and I was, yeah, doing little creative projects that I could to fill my time. And, you know, I did some writing. But yeah, like I was pretty like professionally I was like trying to fulfill myself professionally and creatively and artistically as much as I could. But that was obviously really hard. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we were all just like full stop, you know what I mean?
Was
So
that period of time the longest you've ever gone without being in a musical?
yeah.
Did it make you appreciate theater even more?
Yes, absolutely. It was actually ended up being, that would have been 2 years. Yeah, 2 years total of not performing. That's weird. So that was a long time. Yeah, the last production I did, we did a production of Kinky Boots my senior year.
Were you just
Yeah.
going bananas?
I was, but again, like I was feeling so lucky to be able to tape for projects that were existing and taking these acting classes. And I think working on developing my community that exists out in Los Angeles too, in addition to the community that I have in New York, which I love so much. Um, I, I think that was super important. I have like such incredible friends out in Los Angeles that were cultivated during this time
Yeah.
during Mean Girls. When I was out in Los Angeles, I had friends that I was meeting for the first time, and we had been like really close for like 3 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so weird, but I feel so grateful that I had that like very focused time to, you know, become friends with them. So it was very important, I think.
What a wild time. Looking back, it's like
Wow.
so crazy, right?
Wild times, dude.
So when did Mean Girls, were you a fan prior to the tour audition? Like what is the whole story with that?
Yeah, I was such a fan in college because it came out when I was in college on Broadway, and I had seen the original cast with my family. And then I saw it a second time with some friends on Renee Rapp's opening night, actually.
I saw her in Mean Girls on Broadway too.
Yes, she was so amazing. But yeah, it was so great. I was such a fan, obviously. It's so fun. But it never really like crossed my mind that I'd play. Yeah, I always used to sing the Gretchen stuff in college.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's like a thing my friends and I talk about. But when you see like a woman of color on stage as a performer of color, like you see that and you're like, oh, okay, well that will be me probably. Like that, I'll do that. The sweetest angel ever, Christina Alabado, took over for Ashley Park. She's also half a Latin and half Middle Eastern woman as well. And so I was like, oh my gosh, of course, like I want to do that. I want to be Christina's part. That's so cool. And so it never ever crossed my mind that I would play Regina ever.
But
and so
okay, you think that young girls are gonna look at you and now know that they can.
Yeah, and I think it's like the coolest thing ever when I get tagged and stuff online and see like that community theater or like a high school or middle school production has cast like a Regina of color. I think that is just the coolest thing ever. And people tag me in it all the time and I always see it and I always just like it's amazing. And so when I got the audition August of 2021, and I did it and I had so much fun with it. And
Audition for a specific role or just
for Regina, yeah. I had the call for Regina. And I did tape for it. So I taped, yeah, in my bedroom for it. Just made like a tape. I wore like a little neck brace for the final scene.
When you got
And
the audition, did you think that you could really book the role or it was just fun?
I was just like, oh, this is so fun. Like this is so crazy that they're seeing this. This is so fun. I had a moment where I was like, should should I text my agent and be like, is this right? I swear to God, had that moment. I was like, then I was like, no, Regina, that's stupid. Like, just do it. Just have a good time.
That
Like, that's
is insane. So you
yes.
thought to yourself, should I text my agent and say what? That
And
you
be
should
like,
audition?
do they mean, yeah, like, is this right? Or do they mean, like, is there an opening for Gretchen? Like, I fully had that moment. And I was like, no, Nadine, that's dumb. That's so stupid. Just do it. Like, you're probably not going to hear anything. This is just like super fun. Like, have a good time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. I had like a great time doing the audition. I worked on the stuff with my voice teacher at the time. And it was just like silly and fun. And you got to be like a badass chick.
So do you think that
Can I swear on? Can I swear
yeah,
on?
yeah, you're fine. Do you think that not your lack of care, that's not what I'm trying to say, but the lack of maybe attachment to it allowed you to have more freedom in the audition?
I think so, for sure. Yeah. And it's always how it is. And that's always how I try to, say that. Try to go into auditions is like, I'm gonna do my version of this. And there's a there's a Bryan Cranston quote that's like our jobs as actors is to present our version of the character. It's not our jobs to book the role. Our job is literally to present what we do, because I'm not going to present the same thing that you present in a character. We're just not going to. We're different people.
Yeah.
And so our job is to present that version that is true and authentic to ourselves. And so I try my best to always remember that in audition. And sort of like have a little bit of like that like feeling towards it of like, here's what I do best, and that's great.
It makes me think about, I interviewed Jordan Litz, who's the current Fiyero in Wicked on Broadway, and he said that
Oh,
when
I saw him. He was so great. I saw him like,
isn't he incredible?
Great, yeah, he was so great.
He said that when he saw Wicked, he had a conscious thought to himself of Fiero's a role I'll never play. So I just think it's so
Really?
interesting when I hear people have any sort of reaction to a role that they end up, playing.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
It's so crazy how we like trick our brains in that way, or like we assign things to ourselves. Like, we should never do that. We never know what they're thinking. Clearly, we never know what casting's thinking. We never know what the creatives are thinking. But yeah, I like fully had that moment pre-audition.
So when you did the first self-tape for Regina, did you have a lot of fun doing it?
It's so much fun doing it. I remember it was, I did a cut of both of the songs, one if someone gets hurt and a cut of World Burn, and then 3 scenes. And I remember thinking, oh my God, like I didn't like Regina's so funny. Like, I didn't remember Regina being so funny when I saw it. Like, I don't know, you just like see the show and you're like so wowed by everything. And Karen's like the really funny one. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't like think of it.
Yeah.
But she's so fun. She's got so much heart and she's so funny. And so I loved like digging into the sides of her that I had not consciously like thought of before. So yeah, I had so much fun with it. I played around with like I don't always do this, but sometimes I do this. I like changed tops for each like thing that I did, because I was like, oh, I would so do this. Like, this is so fashionable. I have like 3 pink tops, I think, for the scenes, and 2 different black tops for the songs. But I was like,
that just help you feel like the character more?
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is probably a different day. This is probably a different day. Oh, this is cool. I don't know. Maybe she might wear something like this. And they were all like cool and badass and fun and like pink a little bit.
Did you watch the movie as a kid, and was that a part of your childhood?
Yes, I watched the movie as a kid. I watched it like towards the end of the era of like when Netflix used to mail movies to your house.
Yeah.
When Mean Girls came out on Netflix, and I was like begged my mom. I was like, can we please order Mean Girls on Netflix? Can we please get it delivered? And so we got it delivered. She was like, we can watch it, but I have to watch it with you. And so we watched it. And it was so funny, and I loved it. And then it became like so iconic, and now everyone knows it and loves it and watches it. And by the way, I cannot wait for the new movie.
I know, me too. I'm so excited.
The trailer looks so good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. Like Mariah played Regina before me on the tour. We keep saying we really want to go see it together, so we might go see it together.
Oh, how iconic. That's so cool.
You know, we need to figure it out, but that'll be so fun. The audition was amazing. And then I didn't hear anything back. I mean, I didn't really I didn't really think about it after it. So I was like, that was super fun. But like, of course, they're not thinking of me for that. And I didn't hear anything for like a month later. And then they had me come in for an in-person callback. And
In
so I had it
2021.
in 2021. Yeah.
Wow.
It was August, end of August. And I came in for a callback and I did it in person and it was so fun. And I got to like meet some of the creatives who were like people I've known and looked up to for so many years and think are like the coolest people ever.
Yeah. Is that when you met
And it
Casey?
was, yes, that's when I met Casey Nicholas for the first time and Mary Mitchell Campbell. And the vibe was just so good in the room. It was so fun. Everyone was really, really nice. And like me and the other girls were saying in the closing room, we were just like, God, it was weird. It was your first audition back being in person. I had just done a bunch of auditions over Zoom and on self tapes. Like being in person is just different. And
Yeah.
I love auditioning and I love like going in and meeting people for the first time. And so that was like such a special experience. And having them be so supportive after such a long time away was so nice.
Doesn't Casey just make the most like positive environment?
Yes.
When I auditioned for him, I was so starstruck. But I just like I couldn't believe how comfortable I felt given everything that he's done and accomplished because he just like exudes passion and joy,
Yes.
you know?
Seriously, he's like the sweetest man. Like he's so nice.
Yeah.
And he'll laugh at your jokes and he just makes you feel really comfortable.
So you said you love auditioning?
I do love auditioning.
Have you always?
Yes.
I know that's rare to hear.
It's not a universal thing, but I love it.
What about it do you love?
I get like a high from it. I don't know. Obviously there are some auditions where you're like, oh, that was not good. That wasn't good, but that's fine. Like I think it's because I don't know, I like meeting people a lot. I'm very much an extrovert. I don't know. I like meeting people. I think that's why. I think that's the crux of it.
You get nervous?
Sometimes. It depends. Usually not if it's a smaller room, like a smaller kind of vibe. If it's like one of the smaller rooms in Pearl, or it depends. It depends on the material. It depends on how the audition's being run. If it's like we said, like a really supportive environment, you feel really comfortable.
Yeah, totally.
It's not always the case, obviously, that you feel super comfortable in the room. So yeah, it just depends. But usually I'm pretty okay in the room.
So for Mean Girls, were you nervous?
Nervous in the sense that I probably was like psyching myself out a little bit in terms of the material.
Yeah.
Because it was stuff I really like worked on prior to the audition process. Because it's so iconically like difficult.
Yeah.
It actually is really difficult. I don't know why I said closer. It's extremely difficult, but it's you like psych yourself out in that way. But I think I was like excited to present again like my version of the character because my version of the character was like different than like Rachel McAdams and different than Taylor Latterman and Renee and Mariah even like we all just do different versions.
She's on my wall. I forgot Renee Rapp.
Oh, icon.
I love her. I just saw her at the Greek.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and I saw the Troubadour too. I've seen her a few times.
Her
and she's
concert videos look epic.
Yeah, she's
insane.
Okay, so you go into the audition and
yes,
it all goes well.
It was good. I mean, I was like excited to present my version of the character, so I was having a good time doing that. Yeah, and then I left and I again was like, oh, that was super fun. Little oblivious me. I was like, that was so much fun. And then I get a call from my agent that evening.
Wow.
And I had assumed that they had like a couple days of Regina callbacks. He was like, oh, well, you're their number one choice right now. And hearing that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, they definitely have another day. But for sure, that makes sense. They'll have another day of callbacks. And that was not the case. Then I went back to Michigan and then like a couple days later, it was like the 25th or the 26th of August of 2021. My agent called me and was like, they want to officially offer you the role. Yeah.
So you had one in-person audition.
Yes, one call back.
What was your reaction when you got that call? Where were you?
I was like at my kitchen table with my mom. She was working across this table from me, and I like couldn't believe it. It's like hard to, in those moments you're like, this is like actually hard to comprehend. Like I like literally need time to process this. And then he's like going into the contract stuff, and I'm like, wait. I don't know what you're saying at all. So back it up, sir.
What was the
great.
first thought that you had when you got the news?
I think I was just like, oh my God, like I cannot I'm so incredibly lucky. Like this is not real. You reject the reality of yours. So you're like, this is not real. This is not real. And then you're like, oh my God, I got it.
Was going on tour your dream?
I hadn't really like dreamt of tour specifically. I'd always like wanted to tour, and it's like one of the things I've always wanted to, bucket list things. So yeah, it was like incredible, and to like lead a show is always just like my biggest dream, is to like lead a show. And Katie really leads it, but like in a sense co-lead that with her.
Yeah.
So that was like, it was such a dream come true, and I couldn't believe it. I didn't really comprehend like all that it would entail in terms of like, I feel like I gave myself the permission to feel later on down the road and down the tour that like I've made it. Like I did the thing. I worked really hard for the things that I wanted, and I was able to. I was lucky enough to pull it out. So I'm so grateful. Every show I did, I was like, this is crazy that I get to do this. Like, it's so insane.
August, you booked the part in 2021. Mm-hmm. When did you leave for tour?
Not till beginning of October. So I had a whole month that I had to keep it hush hush. So I told my family, I told my closest friends. October 3rd on Mean Girls Day, I was announced officially. And then the next day I had to fly out to New York for a week of rehearsals. And then after that, I flew out to Arizona, which was where we were remounting the tour.
1 week of rehearsals?
Yeah. I'm sorry?
1 week of rehearsals.
1 week in New York. So
okay.
I had a week of rehearsals just by myself with our amazing associate director, Casey Hushin, who's just like the most amazing woman ever. I love her so much. She's like Casey's associate on a lot of shows. And so I had 1 week just with her and Mary Mitchell, who was our music supervisor. And we just like had so much fun. It was just us in this little tiny studio, like running the show, doing all the parts. And John McGinnis, our choreographer, came in sometimes and like did Someone Gets Hurt with me. Just like he was playing all the boys and I was doing
so fun.
It was so fun. It was like the most fun time, just us in the studio. And then after that, I went out to Arizona to meet our swings were already out there rehearsing, and our dance captains, they were rehearsing. And then some of the other there were 4 or 5 of us who were new to the cast, and everyone else was returning. And so they were learning all their tracks and everything. And then a week after that, the rest of the cast came, and then we all got to rehearse together for like 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before we started.
Between getting the role and before you flew out, what were you doing to prep?
Calling all my friends who had ever toured and been like, what do I do? They like literally gave me like packing lists and like bring this, especially like some of my girlfriends. I have one girlfriend who was on Hamilton. She told me everything to bring, and and spending a lot of time with my family, obviously. And we had a family wedding actually during that month. So that like celebrate all together. What else was I doing? I had some trips to New York to do some media stuff, and for Regina to like some content stuff that we had to put out. Some of the really big fans did figure out it was me before, or they would start commenting on my pictures because they had noticed this. So I guess they look at who the cast starts following.
Oh my god!
I don't know how that works. I don't know how they do it. Anyways, they all started noticing that like the cast was following me. They were like, I think it's this girl. I think it's this girl. And they would comment on my stuff like, "Are you Regina? Are you?"
You weren't. That would be so sad.
It was literally.
You're like, no, we didn't get the part.
No, it's not actually. Thanks for asking.
Did you just like watch all of the Mean Girls bootlegs from Broadway?
No, I actually didn't. I didn't watch any. I don't really like to, if I watch them, I know my subconscious brain will like internalize some things, and I didn't want to. I wanted to kind of go in fresh, which is what the creative team wanted. Is they wanted something.
Yeah.
They wanted, like, again, my version. It keeps coming back to this, but like my version of the character, which like I know my brain, and I like, that's how I operate. If I like hear something, I hear scenes kind of like music.
Oh, wow.
So I consciously like internalize things, and so I didn't want to do that at all. But I was so grateful to have seen two of the three existing Reginas, and then Mariah and I have now become friends, and I love her. So yeah,
so cool. If you could give advice to someone who's about to go on the road for the first time, what would you tell them?
In any show, or like just specifically
in any show?
In any show, I would say my advice to people who go on the road is like be adaptable. Like have your set of routines and things, but know that they can, like, you got to let them go if they have to, because nothing will stay the same. The actual show stays the same, but nothing else will. You're in a different hotel, you're in a different environment, you're in a different climate, you have different dress, you have different dressing room, you have different distance from a stage to your dressing room. Like everything is different all the time. So just like be adaptable, like be able to do your thing in different scenarios, and like be able to like say yes to the different stuff, obviously within limits. If it's like ridiculous, like talk to your management team, but like yeah, just like being able to adapt, because like, you know, if 1 week you're in somewhere that's like has elevation, and then the next week you're in somewhere that's like extremely hot, like you just have to adjust accordingly.
How'd you take care of your body and your voice with the changes of climate?
Yeah, that climate is challenging. They don't tell you about that before. Because like some states that I have bad like seasonal allergies, and so did a lot of my castmates. And some states would just have like a really ridiculous like amount of pollen, and that affects your voice. Or the next would be in Denver, which was up, that's called the Mile High City for a reason. It's literally a mile high. And so there's just like different things that happen, and you just have to like stick to your routine, or like up your water intake, or maybe you take a day off here and there, because you gotta keep, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So keeping your stamina okay. Exercise helps a lot with that. But yeah, like adjusting to the different climates is something they can not tell you about beforehand.
Overall, was tour harder than you were expecting?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I didn't really have any expectations going into it, because I didn't really have anything to compare it to. It was my first like big professional job post college, so I didn't have any comparisons. Like all my comparisons were my school productions in college. So I was pretty like open to whatever was happening, whether it was like our short 1 week schedule, or like a crazy dressing room like that was super far away, or whatever it was. Like I was pretty open to everything. But yeah, I mean, it is hard. It's definitely hard, like being away from your family and your people. And like, on Broadway, there are different set of challenges, of course, but you have like your home, that you're like your apartment that is your space, living out of the hotels and stuff. But it's also, on the flip side of that, it's like so fun. It's like summer camp on the road, basically. Like once we got into like longer sit downs too, we really started kicking into the Airbnbs, which was so much fun, because we were just like a couple of friends, and then like you live with a couple of different friends the next week, or like whatever it was. But yeah, I think like overall, you can't really learn in school the 8-show week schedule and the stamina that requires. So my discipline got like really regimented. I like had my routines that were very, very specific, and I was really good about them. And I'm looking back now, and I can be proud of myself for that. But like when you're in it, you're like, let's go.
Did you have any special fan interactions, like stage door, or you couldn't stage door, right, because of COVID?
I couldn't for the first year and a
Bummer,
month.
the stage door was the best part.
Oh my God, yes. Like, yes. And once that year was up, it was we started. We had different regulations with the union in terms of what we could do COVID wise. So if we were in touring, it was different than Broadway. Touring, depending on what state you were in, if the numbers were pretty low in the area that you were in, then we were allowed to stage door. And then if the numbers increased in terms of how many COVID cases they had in the city, no stage dooring. So it depended. It depended in those last 6 months. It was like sometimes we could, sometimes we couldn't. But we started stage dooring in Toronto, which was a year into the show for me. And that was like amazing. People like writing letters and like people were really nice about sending stuff. So when we told people we couldn't stage door, they would like mail us stuff to the stage door. And but yeah, like meeting people right after is so special. I love it so much. I love meeting people and like immediately seeing the effects of what the show you were part of can do is the coolest thing ever. It's so cool. It's so cool.
Did you think about when you were a kid and, you go to the stage door and now you're that person for other people?
I actually did not stage door as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't stage door unless I had a friend in it. Unless I like knew someone that I was in it. I never staged. Again, like as a kid, like I didn't really know about this kind of like stage. I probably didn't even know stage running existed. Like until I started getting into high school and like started knowing people that were on the road, or in Broadway shows. But yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't think I knew that existed because like again, I didn't have anyone in my family who did it or other friends who were like really into it. Until I started getting more into it. But yeah. So but I know that like it's so important and so incredible for those people who are, especially like the young kids who really just like look up to those people on stage so much. Mm-hmm. So
what was it like coming out standing on the on the table for the first time?
Oh my God, I'll never forget it. Honestly, every time was so fun because it's just like the girls and I would always I did a little like hand squeeze with the girls because when the doors open, uproarious cheering, like just screaming, clapping. It's just
you're living your childhood dreams of being a star, right?
Yeah. It's like so crazy. And then also, yeah, once Jasmine and Morgan took over, like the three of us, it was never lost on us that the three of us were all like women of color being presented as like the coolest chicks in school and like the prettiest girls in school and like just the powerful group were these three women of color who like at times sometimes like didn't feel powerful as kids and now people in the audience can like look at us and as emblems of that, which is so cool. It was so cool that moment. And then the in the song Apex Predator, there's a moment where the three of us like power walk down the stage into like a slow-mo section and like chaos is happening around us and it's just like the three of us in slow-mo like walking and it's so cool and I just like miss that so much.
How many shows did you do on the road?
I did, I think just short of 500.
Oh, are you kidding?
A lot of shows. There's a lot of shows.
That is not what I was expecting you to say, that many.
That's crazy. I know. I like, yeah. Once we started getting to the end, I was like, "There's no way. There's no way this is real."
Were you just on autopilot, or every show felt fresh?
I mean, once you're, yeah. Sometimes the shows are not always as fresh as other shows. Whether it's like a 2-show day or like you're in the middle of somewhere or you're, whatever it is, you're in the middle of like the 200s, but you always have to find something that's going to keep you present, whether that's like an understudy being on or someone in the audience or you're in a new city for the first time or whatever it is, something to keep it fresh. We did move cities a lot, which was good for keeping it present. And then on the flip side of that, when we were in sit downs, we knew more people in those cities because they were either bigger cities or we had like people come to those cities. So yeah, I think like the change of location helped a lot in keeping us present, because then it'd be like, oh, XY, we're in Denver for this long. We have these like oxygen tanks on the side of the stage.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like what they do. The speed is amazing. They always have oxygen tanks for people because it's elevation. Like, if you're not used to it, and our ensemble was dancing little booties off, so they, sometimes someone would need some oxygen. But then you get used to that, and then like you're out of there and you're into the next city. Like, it's just different things like that, whether it's that or like you meet your dresser and you get really comfortable and friends with your dresser, whatever it is, you just like change of location. I think was a good thing to like keep us really present in the show.
And you're dealing with COVID at this time.
Yes.
Did you get COVID throughout the tour?
Yeah, we had to shut down for 2 weeks. About 3 or 3 months in, 2 or 3 months in. It was January of 2022 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We started having, it was like top of the week, we were good. And then slowly, like one by one, till like Thursday, people started dropping. And then by the weekend, basically everyone had it in the cast. Not everyone. That's an exaggeration. Not everyone had it. A lot of people had it, but it was to the point where it was enough people that we had to cancel. But we didn't have to cancel until we were able to fly a few people in from the Broadway cast to take over. So we flew in Kyle Selig, who was the original Aaron Samuels on Broadway.
Wow.
He played Aaron for one night and one night only. Jake Swain and Ian Young, who eventually Ian joined the cast full time, and then Jake would come in and cover for us a lot for vacations and injuries and whatever. So the two of them stuck around. But yeah, we had the three of them fly out for one night of Tulsa performance, and we always I'll never forget that performance. It was crazy. We were all like kind of starting to feel, the people who hadn't tested positive yet, we were all like starting to feel sick, and we like knew we were all gonna eventually. And yeah, it was a crazy performance. The audience was electric. Just like they knew something was up for sure. They knew something was fishy. We had all these people, all these like understudies on. Yeah, the understudies like really like carried the backs of that week. It was wild. And then after that, we found out we had to shut down for 1 week, and then we heard again for the next week.
I'm assuming you know Kaylin Fu, right?
Yes, I love her so much. I was just with her a few nights ago. We saw Titanic off Broadway together.
Oh, I interviewed her very early when we started doing.
Yes,
I think I sent you hers, but yeah, that's so. Did she ever come and perform? Or I guess she
did.
Covered for you.
Yes, so she covered me for the second time I got COVID on tour.
Oh wow.
Which was last December. So she was in Denver for a week, or over a 2-week stint there, and then she came another time too. She came another time to cover, I think, Jasmine's vacation, so our Gretchen's vacation.
Wow.
And
Swings are amazing. Oh my god.
No, she like swings and archers are like insanely amazing. We were so lucky to have some incredible, like all just incredible people with incredible talents and work ethics. Like, it's amazing to watch someone do one track one night and then another track entirely different the next night, or a track that's like so similar but on the opposite side of the stage. I don't know. That's crazy to me. That's crazy. Yeah, Kaylin was amazing, and I got to do Gretchen with her, or I guess Regina Gretchen with her once or twice. I think twice, which was like so cool for me. She's amazing. She's amazing.
Wow. So would you tour again?
I would tour again. Yeah.
Is there a particular show that you'd want to tour with?
I would love to tour with Hamilton. They've got great companies, and I'd love to be in that show. Yeah, or like a show that doesn't exist yet. I don't know. I feel like I want to like originate something somewhere.
Yeah. When did your contract end for Mean Girls?
So we closed the tour actually in May completely. The tour closed, and then it reopened with a different production company 2 months ago.
Yeah.
So they've been on the road.
Are you gonna go see that production?
I want to, yes. We have some of our cast already saw it in Syracuse, I think, or Pittsburgh, maybe? I can't remember. Some of them already saw it, but I really do want to go see it and support them. And
yeah.
It's slightly different. It's got some tweaks to it, but they said it was amazing, and I can't wait to see it. And I also never really got to see our production, so I would love to see it because technically I haven't seen it since
so
Broadway.
funny.
Yeah. So
right, because if you're not a swing, then you're just gonna be on all the time and you wouldn't get to watch.
Yeah, or like if I was out, I was just out of the building. You know what I mean? Like, you see the show.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Is there like one favorite memory from the whole experience?
One, no. A million, yes. But let me think of some. I think like the friendships I made were just so special. Like, oh, it's cheesy to say, but it's true.
Beautiful.
Those are like friends for life, for real. Like I mean, honestly, everyone that you meet on there, because it's just a special experience. It's a unique experience to be in an environment where you're working, living, sleeping, eating, doing everything together.
Yeah.
At like a professional level. It's like truly like professional summer camp on the road, getting to live your dream.
So fun.
Okay, I guess an experience that was really cool was the LA opening.
I was there on the opening night.
Were you there for the which opening? Everything. Tuesday or Thursday?
When you did the carpet.
Thursday. It was so cool. Like we've been looking forward to that forever, and some of the cast had been looking forward to it even before I was with them when I was still in college. And when they did the first 6 months pre-COVID, they were about to go to LA.
Oh my gosh!
After Fort Lauderdale, or it was like in their, I think it was like in their upcoming schedule. So they were in Fort Lauderdale when they shut down, which is actually where we closed in May, which is like weird and funky how the universe works. But then they were supposed to go to LA after that, and so they never got to do their little LA stint. So a lot of the people that were still there from the beginning, it was just like so momentous, and it was like we finally gotten here and we got to celebrate because we didn't get really to do a lot of like parties and any like opening night celebrations because of COVID. And so we really got to like celebrate ourselves with like these awesome people, and a lot of our producers came out, and that was really nice, and that was so special.
Oh, so cool.
Oh, I have another.
Yeah.
San Diego, Thursday night. I'll never forget it. Honestly, also every day in Atlanta for same reasons. Every day in Atlanta and San Diego Thursday night, and probably other places that I forget. Jacksonville Wednesday night. I'll never forget these ever. These were like a year ago. They were so loud, and like that's a very unique experience. Being in a musical where they're cheering for you, screaming mid song is like crazy, because that's not like typical theater like etiquette for an audience. But for Mean Girls, it's different. Like you can do that because we were like really feeling it. Like it was so exciting. It really did feel like a rock star. So that was a unique experience. That literally all of Atlanta was like that. The sheer volume when you finish a song that you receive back from the audience from their screams is crazy. It's crazy.
I can't imagine that after World's Burn, especially.
Crazy. Wild Animals. It was insane. It was crazy.
Did that experience instill any new dreams in you?
I mean, I definitely like it was obviously like a role that I hadn't really thought of myself doing. So yeah, it like opened up a lot of like confidence in myself that I could do some of these things, like again, like think outside of the box, and like some of these roles that I had never really examined before because I didn't think I could do them. Not like for like I guess like for a lack of like trying and lack of seeing anybody in that sense in that kind of role. So yeah, opened up a lot of mental doors for me, if you will.
That's amazing.
A lot of confidence.
I'm sure coming home was so bizarre. Did you go to New York or you came back to Michigan?
All my stuff came back to Michigan. And then I was in and out of New York, and I'm back in New York now. Not back, for the first time in New York because the move never happened. So yeah, back in New York now, and yeah, there was a lot of traveling this summer for a lot of family events. My sister got married.
Oh, amazing.
It was so exciting. So we had a lot of stuff with that. But yeah, it's so weird. It was weird going from being all over the place every week and packing a bag every week. But now I can do it I'm a packing expert somehow. If I need to go somewhere, done. I have everything I need done. I know how to do it. No problem.
So where's your head right, or where's more so your heart right now when it comes to your career?
Yeah, I mean, I feel so invigorated by like the end of the strike and everything. I'm so excited that they were able to find something that is appropriate for the future of AI, which is another thing. And something that like protects creatives, because that's the most important thing. But yeah, I feel really invigorated by that. I just did a concert in New York with like heroes of mine.
Wow.
Like actual heroes. This is like the coolest thing ever. We did this concert at the 92nd Street Y that was honoring the lyricist Howard Ashman. And Christian Borle directed, and
so cool.
I got to do a song with John Kiriani, who I've known for forever, and now I'm friends with him, and it's like very cool to get to like work with your heroes, and we made like the most beautiful art like ever, and that was really cool to make something so high caliber and beautiful in such a truncated amount of time, because I had just done something that was 18 months long.
Wow.
So working on like stuff that's really beautiful in a short amount of time is really cool. And I've done a couple short films with some amazingly talented close friends of mine in California and New York. And so working on stuff that's like, I've been working on things that are a little shorter time periods, but really, really, really beautiful stuff. I can't wait till people see some of these films. They're really cool. They're really cool.
Your younger self could see you now. What do you think she'd say?
I think she'd be so excited. She'd be so excited. Like, there's so much out there that, like, I didn't even know about when I was a kid, that I didn't even know what was possible in the realms. There's still things I'm learning that, like, I'm able to do as an adult, you know? But I think she'd be really excited.
Oh, beautiful. Well, this conversation has been amazing. I always end with this question. It's my favorite question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Whoa. That's a real
casual.
Casual, not deep at all.
All right.
I think I do know the answer to this. Just like being a performer and person that makes people smile and happy and like feel good, and that's my mantra as a person, is to like I always want people to feel happy and comfortable and like in a good environment, and I love making people laugh, and doing that on a larger scale is always what I wanted to do. So yeah, I think that's what I would want my legacy to be.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. It's been wonderful to like get to know you and hear about your story, and I'm so inspired, and I know that everyone will be who watches this video. So
that's so sweet. I'm like so honored that you asked me to be on this.
I'm so glad that it worked out and we're able to do that.